Hi, my name is Matt Chornick, and I will be joined by Drew Kemp, Mike Lemon, and George Box a little bit later on. We chose to focus on a Unilever brand, Ben & Jerry's, for our team term project. We will first take a look at the company, and then we will discuss certain interesting aspects that are unique to Ben & Jerry's. We will then analyze what Ben & Jerry's does both well and not so well. Next, we will show how Ben & Jerry's fits into the Unilever brand image. We will then round out the presentation with two ideas that we feel could help improve Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's has always been a unique company. After successfully completing an ice cream making class in 1978 at Penn State, Ben & Jerry renovated an old gas station and started to serve the people of Burlington, Vermont. Ben & Jerry's has always been customer focused, and because of this, on their 1-year anniversary of their grand opening, they created a free cone day. And this tradition has continued until today and shows no signs of stopping. Another interesting fact about Ben & Jerry's is that they were one of the first companies to say no to ingredients that were comprised of artificial growth hormones, or AGHs. This is a common theme throughout the rapid growth of Ben & Jerry's brand. Although Ben & Jerry's was anti-the man for much of its existence before it was acquired by Unilever, it is now overseen by a board of directors, which Ben & Jerry's refers to as the bod. Ben & Jerry's still clings to its roots by stressing that although they are governed by the bod, there is still a lot of independence within the bod. As a company, Ben & Jerry's does a lot of things right. They continue to drive their business model by following their 3-part mission. The first part deals with the product that Ben & Jerry's produces. The customer has come to expect a high quality of product that is produced sustainable means. The next part of the mission deals with the economic success of the company. Ben & Jerry's strives to increase the growth of both its shareholders and stakeholders. The third part, and most widely associated with Ben & Jerry's brand, is that Ben & Jerry's uses their business as a platform to impact the world in a positive way. Ben & Jerry's sees their success being directly related and tied to how successful they are in making the world a better place. Now, piggybacking off this third part of the mission, I want to take a look at some of the causes that Ben & Jerry's has gotten behind. They are, and in no particular order, Farm Aid, the Children's Defense Fund, social justice, Rock the Vote, Arctic drilling, fair trade, and the Occupy. Now, Farm Aid and fair trade are important to Ben & Jerry's because Farm Aid and fair trade allow the Ben & Jerry's suppliers, i.e. the local farmers, to be able to stay in business and possibly even grow. Now, like most companies, Ben & Jerry's does have some room for improvement, and Drew is going to tell you more about that.
So there's also a downside to Ben & Jerry's making fantastic ice cream for its own sake. So as you can see on the slide, I have 3 different flavors of Ben & Jerry's ice cream with nutrition facts. So for example, Cherry Garcia has 260 calories per serving and 140 calories from fat. So this fat intake represents 23% of your daily value. And also in that there's 45% of your saturated fat value and 23% of your daily cholesterol value all in one serving. Fish food and half-baked are pretty similar to this. So as you can see, one container of any one of these 3 flavors will give you almost double the amount of saturated fat that you should be allotted in one day. Now, Ben & Jerry's has made some attempts to have a healthier ice cream. So for example, they've started to introduce frozen yogurt and Greek frozen yogurt. So these have done somewhat better at making them healthier, but they're not as widely available as the other flavors are. And just because it's a frozen yogurt doesn't necessarily mean it's that much healthier than the normal ice cream. So on this slide I have an example of the fish food frozen yogurt. As you can see, has reduced the calories only to 250 from the 290 calories in the original yogurt. But where it does succeed is in reducing the total fat. So this actually cuts the fat value in half, and the saturated fat goes from 9 grams to down to 5 grams. So it does a little bit better in making this healthier, but still a lot of calories involved in these yogurts. So before we wanted to really introduce a new strategy for Ben & Jerry's, we wanted to make sure that whatever strategy we do recommend aligns with Unilever's core values, which is the parent company for Ben & Jerry's. So as Matt mentioned, Ben & Jerry's does a lot right. That includes some sustainably sourcing, reducing energy usage, and a lot of other things. But one area that we would like Ben & Jerry's to elaborate on is related to the following part of the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, which says that Unilever will strive to improve the health and well-being of more than 1 billion people. So 1 out of 10 people today, or 1 out of 10 adults today, are obese. So to help combat this, Unilever is encouraging people to take action and really just get into these programs that are going to help change their behavior and exercising more. So what we wanted to recommend was for Ben & Jerry's to adopt a similar philosophy as Unilever and encourage people to really get up and exercise. So we feel like this is a good strategy for Ben & Jerry's because they can start to get moving a little bit, and it's not going to sacrifice the fantastic ice cream that Ben & Jerry's strives to make. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Mike and let him introduce the first idea we have.
Okay, thanks, Drew. So one of the ideas that we came up with to help better promote a healthier lifestyle is a event sponsorship. A quick background prior to diving into this. People are becoming more and more knowledgeable than ever regarding their health. Diabetes, heart attacks, and obesity are just a few threats that have been brought to light over the years. In order to reduce risk and improve quality of life, people are beginning to be proactive when making health decisions. The two most common routes that are being taken to improve their health are to diet and exercise. Though it is most efficient to diet and exercise, many find that it is easier to begin with just modifying their diet. The majority of diets call for a reduction in the amount of sweets one consumes, or eliminating sweets entirely. One of the largest threats facing Ben & Jerry's is that consumers may opt to not purchase ice cream because of minimal nutritional value and increased health risk. This movement is changing the perception of ice cream from being a guilty pleasure to just being a source of guilt. This leads to the area where we suggest Ben & Jerry's focus their efforts, exercising. For most people, exercising is more difficult to begin than dieting. Exercise requires a complete change in routine, and oftentimes people get discouraged when they do not see immediate results. If exercise is performed regularly, some of the results are tremendous. People can see a decrease in their weight, a decrease in their body fat, their blood pressure, a decrease amongst other health risks also. They can see an increase in energy, stamina, endurance. The release of endorphins through exercising also can increase one's happiness. Exercise rapidly burns calories. By just running 2 10-minute miles, a 180-pound man will burn roughly 260 calories, which is about 1 serving of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Ben & Jerry's should focus on promoting exercise rather than diet. They need to find health events that can show they are supportive of a healthy life. So that moves into the event sponsorship that we're wanting to suggest. In 2013, almost 2 million people participated in half marathons, 500,000 in marathons, roughly 300,000 participated in Spartan races, and just over 100,000 were in triathlons. These athletes vary in age, race, culture, and fitness, but they all have one thing in common. They're all conscientious of their health. Many of them are a part of the health movement that I mentioned earlier, where they are steering away from sweets. Ben & Jerry's need to encourage these events, and as a result, ice cream will be viewed as more of a reward for a job well done. I know that I'm a runner, and that whenever I do a half marathon, I always feel that I kind of earned kind of a cheat. In this case, that would be Ben & Jerry's. As a result of this being viewed as a reward, the perception of Ben & Jerry's will shift to show that they want to be an engine that is promoting and rewarding a healthy living. So in these sponsorships, Ben & Jerry's can join the health movement by getting their name out there. One of the ideas that we came up with is to put promotional handouts or coupons in the race packets that are handed out the day prior to races, or handing out ice cream at the end of the finish line. One of the big things going on now is that chocolate milk is kind of viewed as one of the best things to have after a long run. I think that Ben & Jerry's could kind of piggyback off of that with ice cream, hand out chocolate ice cream at the finish line. And in doing this advertisement, in doing this event sponsorship, it would also promote, or it would be prime advertisement, and it would showcase that they want to be a proponent of change. So that's our first idea. Now I'll pass it on to George to hit in on another idea of ours.
Thanks, Mike. And I'd like to talk about the second idea that addresses activity among children. Child obesity rates have been on a steady rise for the last few decades. The obesity rate among children in 1980 was 7%, and over the last 30 years, the obesity rate has climbed to 18%. As of 2012, more than 1/3 of all American children and adolescents were overweight or obese. In another study conducted in 2013, 15% of all U.S. high school students did not participate in at least 60 minutes of physical activity in a 7-day period. With the steady rise of child obesity rates, obesity needs to be incorporated into Ben & Jerry's CSR. We feel that Ben & Jerry's needs to create a community action plan to address this. This community action plan would be focused on cleaning up existing playgrounds or building new playgrounds in communities that lack them. Getting the community involved builds a sense of pride and at the same time gets families out of the house. The nicer a playground is, the more comfortable a family will feel going there, and this will lead to more activity in children, which will ultimately lead to less obesity. Hopefully, a more active lifestyle as a child would lead to a healthier lifestyle as an adult. We also think that Ben & Jerry's should partner with a major sponsor. Ben & Jerry's should reach out to the Little League World Series or even the Major League Baseball League. Baseball and softball teams often go out for ice cream, so there is already a connection there. The Major League Baseball and Little League World Series games are already widely known by children and adults alike. If Ben & Jerry's were able to partner with a well-known athlete that kids already look up to, the message would mean more and it would sink in. That message would incorporate the idea of exercising every day, but that after that exercise, he likes to treat himself to some delicious Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And in conclusion, we feel that Ben & Jerry's should promote a more active lifestyle and continue to make good ice cream for good ice cream's sake. So get moving, everyone.